Hi there, Heath here again. What we're going to be doing today is taking out the head carriage and actually trying to remove the drive belt for the head carriage so that way it can be replaced if it ever gets damaged. You'll need two sets of tools, a Phillips head screwdriver and also a pair of tweezers. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is take off the ink harness and the dampers from the head themselves. First thing I'll do is close off the clips so that way I can cut off ink flow. I do make sure that the power is turned off on the machine before I do any repairs. Once I have all these clips closed, prevents any, or at least hinders any kind of dripping from the dampers as long as I don't squeeze them. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, raise up this print head carriage and lift up on all these dampers, just kind of wiggle them up. Alright, and set these to the side, making sure not to drip anything down in there. You just got to be real careful. You might even want to take them out one at a time. Alright, then I'll take off the actual head carriage lid right here. I'll just use the tray bed to hold my screws so I don't lose any of them. And then that will come free. You got to be real careful because if you take those or try to take this off without doing those screws all the way, you can snap off these head carriage lids and it would have to be replaced. Alright, so once you have that free, then I can kind of just tilt it over the back here and kind of get it out of the way. So that way the head's free now. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is I actually have to take the head out itself because the ribbon cables are connected to this head carriage. The reason you have to do that is because you don't want it to be bending these ribbon cables and things like that. So the first step to do this is basically there's a little hole right over here on the side. You push this little clip and it pushes this out. It's like a little square opening right there. And then I can just rock this forward and backwards until it lifts off. Just be careful not to force it. Set this to the side. There's two little copper springs that are in here. Sometimes you might have to get a pair of needle nose pliers and pull them out if they're a little bit stiff inside there. But they just lift right out and you can set these to the side. Just also note that the solid ones, not the ones with the lines in them, go on the bottom. They fit sort of like this right here. Okay. Then you have the head retaining bar. Over here on the left side of the print head carriage there's a little spring that is connected to it. You just lift that off and let it go up to the side here. And then there's two Phillips head screws that hold this silver retaining bar in. Note that these screws that go into the head retainer have a wood grain to them, so be careful when you're tightening or loosening these that you don't over tighten them because it can actually strip out the plastic. They're the only two screws on the machine that are like that. Alright. So then to get this head retainer bar off you have to kind of lift up on it and then push it to the right. So that way it can basically, you can catty corner it out. Alright, so once you've got it freed up a little bit and you can twist it back and forth, I will grab a hold of it on the left side here, pull it up, and then tilt it up so that way I can catty corner it out. Just like that. Set it to the side. That way the head is free to pull out. When I pull the head out, just be real careful. You have two ribbon cables going into the side there. I'll just kind of catty corner those out as well, being careful not to rip it out of its position or anything. I'll view those to see if there's any kind of burn or corrosion marks on those. And I'll set the print head to the side as well. Okay. So once I have that off, then I can remove this back ribbon cable from the back of the head carriage. And it comes off like that. So that way I can just set it to the side here. Alright, so that is the removal of the head. Next step is we're going to remove the encoder strip. The encoder strip is that thin gray piece of plastic that runs behind the print head carriage but above the drive belt. Its purpose is basically to be the GPS of the print head. It has a bunch of vertical lines that are on it, and then there's a lens on the back of the head carriage that actually reads those so that way it knows where to drop ink in. To remove it, over on the left hand side there is a spring connected to a little clip that's poking out. That's where I'll use my tweezers at. I'll grab a hold of the spring, pull it off of its little setting, and then pull it off so that way I can set it to the side. Be real careful not to drop it down in there. If you do drop it down in there, try to get like a long handled magnetic screwdriver so that way you can actually get that out. Alright, so we'll set that to the side. Once you have that spring off, you can come back over here to the right side, and there's a little hook that the encoder strip fits over top of. Make sure to note how it's positioned so that way you can return it to that position when you put it back on. If you need to, take some tweezers so that way you don't rip the plastic. Then I'll reach over here, pull it from behind the print head carriage, and then I can twist it sideways so that way it'll fit off of this post right here on the left hand side. And then I can inspect it. To clean this encoder strip, basically you'll cut like a little 2-inch piece of t-shirt fabric or a nice lint-free cloth and put some Windex on it. You'll pinch both sides of it and basically squeegee it between your fingers, making sure to get any kind of corroded or dried ink off of there. And then you'll set that to the side. Alright, so I'll come back for the next few steps in just a second.